Today is an incredible day, like every other day. Today is the day that I interview the owner of OC Ramps, named Tyler Large.
Our specialty is we make skate ramps in skate parks, but our real specialty is selling it in kit form.
Funny story, last time I saw Tyler was at the Wedge, and we'll talk about this more, but he was not walking on 2 feet. Oh look, there he is. What's up?
What up, buddy?
Last time I saw you, you weren't as mobile.
Good to see you,
What's
brother.
up? Good to see you too. What do we got going on here?
This is kind of where we make our kit. Our specialty is we make skate ramps in skate parks, but our real specialty is selling it in kit form. We pre-cut, pre-drill everything, kind of like an IKEA furniture kit, but for skateboarding ramps. So it might be like small obstacles for, street skateboarding, or it could be like a mini ramp type of half pipe for the backyard that's, a bigger ticket item.
So how did you develop like all the different obstacles? Was it just over the years you had a demand and what people asked for, and then you kind of created kits from there, or how did that go?
Yeah, so that's a huge part of it. There's common staples for skateboarding. You go to a park, common staples would be like the mini ramps, half pipes, quarter pipes. And as time went on, we're like, okay, we've had a demand for rails. For years, we didn't sell rails.
Why? I'm just curious.
2 reasons. You could either weld them in-house, which is pretty expensive, or you go overseas.
Yeah.
And everything that we generally make is in-house. So I looked into doing it in-house. The demand brought us there. So we actually started doing that after
In-house?
several years of business, yeah. It was good, but again, our margins were really thin just because of how expensive it was for, American labor, and then also just the materials here. I know people get upset about, hey, let's keep jobs in America, which I'm 100% on board, hence why we manufacture everything here. But there are certain products in the world that it's super difficult to make here. One of the prototypes that we made in-house here for a skateboard rail ran around 450 bucks, and that's parts, labor, and then painting it. If your cost is 450 bucks, most businesses need to have a margin and at least sell it for double. If you have retailers involved, you need like a multiplier of 3 or 4. Okay, let's say we sell directly to the consumer. 450, double that, 900 bucks. So, dude, no one's gonna buy a $900 skate rail. Like, no one.
Yeah.
We take that same product, you go to China, they can manufacture that and ship it, so our landed cost is $70.
Do you lose any quality going overseas?
No, and in certain aspects, I feel like we gain quality. That's the only product that we manufacture outside of here. Everything else is done in-house. Another source of like where we've got our ramp designs is in about 2011, 12-ish, is when we brought on a professional skateboard team. One of the ideas I had for a long time was to give these pro skateboarders their own signature obstacle. So kind of like how you see, professional NBA players, they have their own signature shoe with Nike or whatever. I wanted to offer that for these skateboarders with ramps or rails.
How much have you found that your affiliation with athletes has like upsold your products and your ramps and stuff?
It's hard to quantify like an exact percentage,
Yeah.
But yeah, like our professional team has really helped establish like a legitimacy and credibility and notoriety with us within the industry.
Did growing your business with the demand feel like a really natural way to grow versus so did you expect those things were coming and then like pre-work everything into that, or did you kind of respond as things came along?
A little of column A and a little column B, but yes, overall, it's always felt natural. I haven't been the type where it's like, hey, let's get a venture capitalist in here. Let's try and fundraise $2 million and convert that into X amount of dollars. Because I feel like there is high risk, high reward, but that's just not my nature.
Okay.
Obviously, to each business owner their own. I'm just more conservative with risk taking in that regard.
Did that just come to you naturally?
Yeah, I just prefer things to be calculated risks, and I don't like having debt. you know?
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
I don't, not a bad philosophy.
Yeah. I don't want to owe anybody. You know, I was always taught the good debt that you can have is if you own your property, you know, whether that's residential real estate or commercial real estate. But beyond that, yeah, I wanted it to be just a natural, progressive, you know, and organic growth. And then that way too, it's not as overwhelming to deal with, you know, the challenges as they come. Because again, if it's just a slow progress, then you could deal with those challenges. But again, like if we had that venture capitalist investing 7 figures, then it'd be like, okay, well, we would need to triple our staff. We would need to uproot our building. We would need, I mean, everything would change. And there's so many problems with that. So
how did you maintain, as you grew bigger as a company and internationally, how did you make sure to maintain your quality while still growing in like a natural way?
No, that's a great question, because honestly, like I think every business deals with that. I mean, even the top guys, like even Apple, right? They've had issues with, you know, their iPhones or watches and whatnot.
Samsung's phones blowing up.
Right. Yeah. So I think like no matter who you are, big or small, everyone deals with that quality issue. And so no, that's a very good question. And I would like to sit here and say that, hey, we've gotten everything right every time and we've been perfect and we've never lacked on quality, but that's not the case. But we've really refined, you know, our process from the back end. I think the biggest issue with quality, and again, from us to an Apple, is when you grow in terms of employees, that's where things could get lost and lost in the cracks. So what we had to do is realize, okay, if we're gonna hire 2-3 more employees, we're gonna have to implement a new system and procedure for quality control. Once we realized we were gonna have more than one person packaging, something that we implemented there is, okay, let's have a quality control checklist. And then whoever's packaging has to sign off with their initials that they did it. So that way we could keep track of, okay, if we do get a customer that calls us and says, hey Tyler, you forgot the bag of screws. We could kind of review, okay, who did that so we could fire him. Just kidding, we're not gonna fire him. Then we could kind of see, okay, what went wrong with that and correct the issue. But yeah, that is a good question, because we try and maintain, you know, you have to maintain the quality, otherwise the customers will catch on. And we've learned too that so much, we obviously spend a lot in marketing and advertising, but there's still so much word of mouth with our products. You know, and we don't want kids going to a skate park and being like, yeah, I bought this mini ramp from OC Ramps and it sucks, you know, or whatever. Like, obviously we want to avoid that. So it is like an ongoing battle to maintain quality, and that is something that we've always wanted to pride ourselves in. And same with customer service. Like,
would you say that you talked about customer service? Would you say like customer service is like the dark horse of entrepreneurship, whereas like it's something that you wouldn't think is that significant? But as you like get more and more into your business, and then if you have a lack in customer service, then you can just, because then the lack in customer service leads to like bad reviews, and then like the word of mouth, where it carries that like you aren't, maybe, I'm not saying you weren't, but like say someone didn't provide that, and then people just don't even want to buy your product.
Right. No, 100%. Again, yeah, in the world we live in with, you know, angry Karens leaving reviews and whatnot, yeah, it could really affect a business. So 100%. We do our best to try and maintain those situations and to be able to answer everybody's questions, you know, chat, email, phone support, whatever it is.
It's a lot to deal with though.
So it is 100%. We have, like right now, we have, I think it's 450 or 480 reviews on Google that I think all of them but 4 or 5 are 5-star reviews. And that's what we want. You know, there's been some situations where someone was gonna leave a 1-star review, but we were able to jump on it and put out the fire. And then all of a sudden now you got someone that has leaves a 5-star review. So I'll give an example. There was actually a prominent skateboarder in the industry that ordered a product from us, and it was a custom product, and we delivered it to him, And then within a week or two, there was a manufacturer's defect with this customized product. And speaking of issues, and so anyways, honestly, this issue was pretty embarrassing. Like, there was a fault with the product, and it was super embarrassing because it was to somebody that we didn't want.
It was a significant
name. We wanted everything to go like butter smooth,
yeah.
And it did not. So
how early into your company was that situation?
Oh no, actually this was
pretty recent.
A few years ago.
Okay.
So we started in 2005. This would have been probably like 5 years ago.
Okay.
I don't know if it was this individual's manager or whatever, but they reach out and they're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like, we've had this for a day, what the hell? And dude, it was one of those emails where I read and like, you know those terrible moments where your heart just goes, like, I was just like, no way, you've got to be kidding me. Like, how did we screw this up? So I wrote back immediately, and like I just went on an apology tour about it. Was very sincere. I felt like very bad, and I'm like, dude, this shouldn't have happened. So I said, look, I'm gonna drop what we're gonna do. This is a red alert at the warehouse. We're gonna show up, we're gonna swap it out, we're gonna rebuild it, get it right. And on top of that, I'm like, I'll give you a credit, on the payment. And then furthermore, I know that he likes to skate this particular obstacle. I'm gonna throw that in for free, yada yada. So again, we had like a 1-star review at that moment, and so I send that over. We get it all dialed in, and that manager wrote back, and like it was one of the greatest emails like I think we've ever received. So it turned like a terrible situation into a great one where he's like, basically the concept was. He's like, I really appreciate you guys taking accountability. Like in today's day and era, people are always looking to make excuses, point the finger, and like not take any accountability. And so anyways, this email just said like, I can't believe like, how refreshing it was to see a business owner really take account for the hiccup and do everything in their power to resolve it and make good. And that's what we did. So he ended the email saying like, we're gonna be long-term customers of yours. Wow. Like this isn't it. And since then, we've done other business. Obviously when I got that first email, I thought like, dude,
I'm over.
My life's over. So it was an opportunity where, we admittedly screwed up and were able to turn it around and make a good situation. And that's rare. Like I'm not saying that this happens often by any means, but like my point is as a business owner, I feel like part of the reason why we've been in business for as long as we have is because I actually care about, the satisfaction of our customers and that type of thing. Yeah. So, I think that if we didn't care, it'd be a shorter run business. I don't think we would have grown as organically as we did and that type of thing.
Did you have that accountability going into it always, or did you discover how necessary it was as you went on?
I mean, honestly, not to go deep into my roots, but I think it was just how I was raised. Yeah. I was raised that like, don't do a job unless you're gonna do a good job. Look at like the construction or mechanics industry. They kind of get a bad rep, and I come from a family of contractors, so I get it. Why do they get a bad rep? Just because they're kind of known, most mechanics are known for being shisty, right? This is a generalization. It's not everybody. We have great mechanic friends. Friends. Generally, they get a bad rep just because you go in for an oil change, right? And what's like the typical story? They pop the hood and be like, oh man, like your fan belt needs to be replaced, or this needs to be replaced. And they're always trying to gouge you. And like, it's very short-sighted because sure, that mechanic might squeeze an extra $200 out of your pocket, but are you inclined to go back, refer people?
And then they could end up losing more money in the long term because they try to gouge you.
Yeah. So it's very short-sighted, that type of mentality. And there's a lot of like contractors that are like that, like, I'm just gonna get what I can out of this guy for the day, and they don't look like, hey, for the long run, how that ripple effect is gonna actually influence others and stuff. So
have you found that most of your customers have been So you started and you had all these new customers coming in. Are most people that buy your products ones who return because they bought one thing and they're like, oh, I want to buy more things? Or is it mostly people like finding you on Google or things like that, being like, I want to get my son a skate ramp for his 12th birthday?
Right.
Yeah.
So you get a mix of both, obviously. I would say, like, and it depends what product they're gonna get. For example, like behind us, these half pipes, generally the half pipes are gonna be in the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 price range. So, I don't know about your parents and you growing up, but my parents wouldn't drop like
$4,000 on
$4K on me.
Hey, it's Orange County.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. But like, and then on top of it, be like, oh yeah, by the way, like, let's get you like a dozen other ramps.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, if you're gonna be buying one of these products, most of the time, they're not gonna be coming back for another $4,000 half pipe,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, like if you're gonna be getting a grind box, you know, yeah, you're gonna want like a rail to go with it, or, you know, get a couple little portable obstacles together.
And that probably helps out your business because it's like, oh, well, I like want to get this one thing, but then like, oh, this could be cool with it.
Right.
And then that just like adds and adds and adds.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, maybe like you add to cart and it's like, oh, well, like maybe I can just add a rail, sure, or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they add on to their skate park. So we have plenty of customers where they're like, okay, they'll get a ramp or two for Christmas, and then the kid's birthday comes around and they're like, hey, let's get, I don't know, a ledge for them too. And so sooner or later, yeah, now they've got like 4, 5, 6 obstacles and they got their own little portable backyard skate park, you know, that they can move around and everything. So yeah, no, we do get returning customers and everything, but like I said, referrals for us is also a big portion of the business. So this guy that spends $3 or $4 grand on this half pipe and gets it, loves it, he's gonna tell his neighbors in the area, hey, this half pipe is awesome from OC Ramps, and then potentially those people are gonna get a backyard half pipe like this dude. So that's a big portion. Oh, before we go outside, I'll show you the CNC room. This is the CNC room, and so you can see we have 2 machines that are cutting everything out. So this is what'll cut out, like all the transition pieces. This is the one item we do by machine. Everything else is by our hands.
This is probably a pretty big investment.
Yeah, 100%. But the computers have everything programmed in it already. You put a sheet of plywood on, press enter, and this just does all the movement for you.
So how long does it take for it to cut everything out?
So one sheet, this sheet will take about 30 minutes. You'll be able to get like 4 sheets in an hour. They have to sand it after each piece is cut out. They have to sand it because the machines kind of leave a slight rough edge on it.
Yeah.
And so to get the finished quality, we'll have a crew member basically sand down each one, each sheet individually. So that way it's complete and it's done. But that machine will pre-drill all the holes, and those holes are used to later screw in like the 2x4 support. So like you can't screw up the installation on these ramps. Like as long as you follow the whole pattern, you're A-okay.
How much did your business expand during COVID? Like, do you have like by a percentage?
In general, the exercise outdoor sports, as you know, like went through the roof.
Yeah.
We actually sell to a retailer that sells like bikes, road bikes, mountain bikes, BMX bikes, the whole bit. And his business went gangbusters.
Yeah.
And they had to get a massive facility just to keep up with the demand. So, and I'm sure like you've heard of like, yeah, like those Peloton brands.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And
they're a public company.
Oh, are they?
Peloton is literally, yeah, on the New York stock market.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like I remember at the beginning of COVID, everyone, because the gyms were all shutting down,
yeah,
everyone was trying to buy like those dumbbells and like, but those were sold out everywhere.
It's like $800 on Amazon.
Right,
for like
right.
A set of
just
like,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we kind of fell into somewhat that category of just being outdoor exercise sports.
How do you so when that demand skyrockets, and then you have to like do things like this, you have to like make room for the demand. but then you know that might, because it's the pandemic and it probably won't last forever, that it will go back down. How do you scale your business in a dynamic way enough so you can handle that demand while it lasts, but not like go buy a warehouse and then when things get back to normal and your demand may go down a little bit, then you're not like stuck with this big warehouse or stuck with things like that? Like, how did you manage and make those decisions?
No, I mean, that is the $60,000 question, right? That every business owner asks himself. And so, no, you're 100% right. Like, all of those are literally points where like we had to figure out in terms of, we need a bigger facility. Do we go spend $5-6 million, buy another building? But then what happens in a year, 2 years, if things soften, then what do we do? And we don't want to get caught red-handed. So 100%. So this was, the growing pains of COVID were pretty tricky. And this was the time that I injured my leg. Yeah. So like literally. Yeah,
we could get into that.
Dude, that was like, seriously. So the leg, I mean, I was basically immobile and I had a paralyzed leg. So the day of quarantine in California, March 18th. Yeah. So the day of quarantine, we had that great swell, a southwest swell. And so on my radar, I get a notification, hey, like Wedge is gonna be popping. Yeah.
And do you body surf a lot?
Like bodyboard. Yeah, bodyboard, yes. Yeah, like that was, Wedge has been my backyard since I was a little kid. Yeah. And so I'm comfortable with it, you know, I respect the wave, like, and
I've been just like showing up and like,
no, you know,
like some people do. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, no, please don't. So no, I've been going there since, I don't know, 13, 12, whenever you are in middle school.
Grom.
And so it was a little, a little Grom. And so anyways, no, waves were big. So I actually came here at like 6:30 in the morning and I touched base with my staff. I said, hey, like I could tell that with this COVID thing, things are moving up, like demand's going up. Let's all be on our A game. I'm gonna split for an hour and a half and I'm just gonna go catch some waves. I'll be right back.
Oh, famous last words.
Yeah, I'm like, I know it's a busy day. I'll be gone in like less than 2 hours. Yeah. So yeah, I paddle out, had some fun waves, some fun barrels. It was a good day.
Weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I was noticing that Cylinders was just pitching like hollow barrels and all the crowd was like at Wedge, you know, like it typically is.
Classic.
And so, yeah, I was kind of over it. I'm like, dude, I just want to get like 1 or 2 more waves. I'm gonna paddle 50 yards up and just, you know, kind of hang out at Cylinders and catch a couple waves there. So that's what I did. So I caught 1 little wave at Cylinders, nice little hollow barrel, great. And then the next wave comes in and it wasn't, I mean, this is the part that pisses me off. It wasn't even like the set of the day or anything. It was just like a normal, you know, wave that came through. I would say that the particular wave that destroyed me was like just overhead high. And I think some of the peaks that day were probably double overhead.
Yeah, it was decent size, yeah.
So this wave starts coming and in my head, I'm like, all right, dude, I gotta get back to work. I'm gonna take this last one. It's a right. So yeah, like I go to drop in and I'm good. And it starts to pitch over me. I'm like, okay, I'm still good. And it just closes out like normal. But you know, normally when it closes out, you just get thrown around and yada, yada. Yeah. But for whatever reason, when it closed out, you know, I didn't pull out or anything, just cruising. It freaking sucked me right over the falls. Yeah. So I get sucked over the falls, but I'm going like feet first, like a torpedo into the sand. And the sand was like, you know, or the water was like 1.5 feet deep. Yeah. There was just nothing. Yeah. So yeah, I just went straight into the sand. And I don't remember this part, but the only scientific and, you know, a reasonable conclusion would be that my leg just went the wrong way and it shot out right. And
it's not good.
No, it was, I just remember like being uncomfortable and then hearing a pop.
Like, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, like because it was, dude, it was a split second, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, like It's like, something's not right. And then pop, dude. I heard a pop like it was a water balloon or like a basketball underwater just exploding. And I heard it and I screamed like a 5-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I just screamed and...
You feel the pain instantly?
Yes,
Yeah.
I couldn't move it. And I got super scared. So like, it didn't take me long to surface because there wasn't much water,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so it wasn't like I was under for like a minute. So like I surfaced to the water after, you know, everything gets thrown around. And I start to kick and I'm like, holy shit, like I can't really kick my leg.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those like shock, I think the body went into shock because I'm like, is it a Charlie horse?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe it'll go away,
yeah.
cramp. So a set came in and I remember like going under and like the wave just like obviously shook the whole body and it was so painful on the leg. And so anyways, yeah, I'm like, at that point trying to get out of the water and I stand up, again, I'm only in like knee deep water. So I stand up on my left foot and I fall down. And then that's when you came into play. That's when you come into play with another photographer.
Yeah, with, Brent.
So then, yeah, you guys basically see I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I put my like arms over you guys and then we just kind of like hopped back until we sat down. And then fortunately there was that off-duty lifeguard.
Yeah.
But it was funny because he was just like, so I've had a concussion before from snowboarding, and so I know what that does. It like resets your mind. It's actually really scary.
Yeah.
But he was asking all the concussion questions. He's like, so what day is it? I'm like, dude, it's Wednesday.
The classics,
you know,
yeah.
and who's the president? I'm like, bro, like, it's not a concussion. I hit my fucking foot. And he's like, okay, like, how many fingers am I holding up? I'm like, bro, it's this.
my leg.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, I'll just drive home. And that's when like I needed your help to get across, like, dude, that was like 200 yards of sand. And like, I don't know how I hopped on my left leg, but
crazy.
I think my quads were just on fire towards the end because I had to hop left footed the whole time. But then, and my intention was to go straight to my car. And then I realized once we got to the sidewalk, my car was like another 100 yards. And I'm like, dude, Max, I'm not going there. Like, here's my keys.
And that was so nerve-wracking for me.
Was it?
Yeah, because I come, you have like a sick truck.
Yeah.
And I go up and you're like parallel parked. I'm like, all right, dude, like this guy's day is bad enough already.
Yeah. Don't crash.
Fuck up his car.
Yes.
And, but yeah, I pulled around and picked you up.
No, that was amazing. So, no, thank you for doing that. So that was like great valet service.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you
There was people that joked. Do you remember that? You were sitting on the bench, and then there were people that walked by.
Yeah.
And was driving your truck up to like, oh, like nice valet or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So no, 100%. So Max's valet service came through.
Yes.
And then so I drove home, and then meanwhile, like, so I call my wife, and I'm like, hey, don't get alarmed, but I think I might have sprained my knee, my leg. Yeah, I was so naive. What do I know? Yeah. So we go to an MRI. The doctor's like, he first does an x-ray. And the x-ray, you know, you get the results like instantly.
Yeah.
He's like, no bones are broken. Like,
you're good to go.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, dude, maybe, I don't know, a sprain. So then he's like, all right, we'll do an MRI and I'll call you tomorrow. So he calls me the next day. And he's like, dude, what did you do? And like, that's how we started the conversation. I'm like, oh man, this can't be good. And he's like, yeah, you've got quite a severe injury. And he says, it looks like you've torn 3 of the 4 ligaments in your knee, like completely off the bone.
Yeah.
There's no partial tear. There's no sugarcoating it.
Wow.
And so he's like, yeah, this is one of the most severe ones I've seen. You know, typically these don't happen unless you're in like a car accident where, you know, the car's flipping, or you're like Travis Pastrana, you know, launching, you know, motocross and stuff like that. So this does not happen from like, you know, surfing or whatever. So anyways, I said, okay, what's the next step? He's like, well, obviously you need surgery. You know, meet with this doctor and go from there. Oh man, this can't be good. And he's like, yeah, you've got quite a severe injury. And he says, it looks like you've torn 3 of the 4 ligaments in your knee, like completely off the bone.
Yeah.
There's no partial tear. There's no sugarcoating it.
Wow.
And so he's like, yeah, this is one of the most severe ones I've seen. You know, typically these don't happen unless you're in like a car accident where, you know, the car's flipping, or you're like Travis Pastrana, you know, launching,
Classic.
you know, motocross and stuff like that. So this does not happen from like, you know, surfing or whatever. So anyways, I said, okay, what's the next step? He's like, well, obviously you need surgery. You know, meet with this doctor and go from there.
So your knee's better, you're back in the office. And how does your mentality switch like going into 2021 and like coming out of the pandemic, and like where do you want to take your company? Yeah,
so there's a few, there's so many things. We're doing a lot of changes right now. And so we are, while I was at home and immobile, I thought of like all the things I wanted to do within the business, like all the ideas that I've been sitting on over the years and whatnot. And I figured, hey, why not implement them? So now that I am back, no, it lit a fire under me. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So we've got a few new categories that we're going to be announcing in a couple of months. We have a new website that we're working on that we're going to launch in a couple months, probably at the same time. I mean, there's a handful. So going into summer of 2021, we're going to have like a tsunami of changes. And so, no, it's really exciting. We're looking to expand the business. You know, we've outgrown this place and we outgrew it a long time ago. And we've been able to make adjustments to make us, you know, work through it. But ultimately, we're gonna need a bigger facility and we might have to expand into another state. So we're looking into expanding an operation over on the East Coast. No, there's all sorts of things that we're working on. So it's really exciting, honestly. That's the thing that I like about business entrepreneurship, is the ability to like literally implement whatever idea that you have.
Yeah.
You know, and if you work for the, you know, I'm not knocking working for corporate America, but you know, there's always bureaucracy with that and a hierarchy. Okay, submit your idea in this, you know, idea box and then we'll review it. And sometimes that stuff never goes anywhere. Whereas like, I love the fact that I could be like, you know what? Like, I want to add these 10 new products on the website and I'm going to make it and I'm going to upload it and we do it.
Yeah.
Or
you
like,
have the freedom.
We have the freedom. Or be like, hey, like we're operating in too small of a facility here. We're going to get a bigger facility and like set up another hub. And we're gonna do it. So it's just cool. Like that's what I like. That's what I enjoy. It's just like you say, having the freedom and stuff. And it just allows us to like expand on creativity and stuff. So
sweet, awesome. Yeah. Well, we're excited to see where you take OC Ramps into the future. And thanks so much for your time. And
Appreciate
coming
it.
on the whatever this is. I don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
Podcast, vlogcast, interview. But do you have any last words? Anything else you want to add?
No, thank you for saving me at the wedge and pulling me out of the water. And yeah, I hope to be out in there in the waves soon, catching some big barrels.
Heck yeah, should be sick. All right, thanks so much, Tyler.
Thanks, man.
Bye.